we started our own firm to specialize in software and technology more broadly. And we continue to do a lot of cross-border work. We do cross-border work with Israel, with Asia and Europe, and a lot in Canada for some reason. It's been terrific. We have a lot of conversations going on in Europe right now. We're doing buy-side work for a big German software company. And now we're doing some sell-side work for them as well. We have started to see companies pop up around the world with operators who are well equipped to get into some exciting areas in tech. And what we're seeing here is what we're seeing around the world. It could be in Tel Aviv, it could be in south of France, in Bologna, or in Shanghai. The trends are the same. Essentially, we're seeing mobility, data and analytics, cloud, and just an overwhelming rush to cybersecurity type of solutions right now for obvious reasons. So these trends are worldwide. The world is indeed flat. In fact, we recently met an entrepreneur out of Alaska who was a high school graduate. Met two guys online, one from Eastern Europe, the other one I can't remember where, somewhere in Europe, and they started a company online. He moved from Alaska after he graduated from high school. He's in Silicon Valley, just raised his first round. I think it's like $3 million round that he just closed. And they've got a pretty interesting social enterprise project going. So it's almost irrelevant now where a company is located in the world. As long as you have good domain expertise, a good operating background, and you know what you're doing and you know your markets, you can be located essentially anywhere. And what we're seeing right now is people are flooding into San Francisco to start companies. It used to be that, as everyone knows, the critical mass of startups were down in Silicon Valley, but now people are moving into the city from around the world to start companies. It sort of says to me, these guys just want to live here, they love it here, there's good talent, it's creative, but there's other places around the world that we see that. What we're seeing in Southern Europe right now is south of France. We're having a very good conversation with a cybersecurity firm. These guys have been doing work for the agencies over in Europe for quite a while. We've worked with a Spanish company that's doing ad tech. We're talking to a big data analytics play in Bologna. And there is just a tremendous amount of activity in Southern Europe right now, and I think it's because people are moving out of the bigger companies. They're starting firms, they have good technology backgrounds, and they see a path to really grow a company, just like we're seeing out of Asia and we're seeing in Silicon Valley. So to answer your question more directly, what investors want to see and acquirers, for some reason a $10 million threshold is a magical threshold on the top line. It's a much broader audience when you have a $10 million run rate. It's also very attractive these days to have a subscription revenue stream versus a perpetual license model in the software world. So a recurring, predictable revenue stream is going to get probably a 2x revenue multiple now in these markets. To the extent that you have good profitability, we see some of these SaaS-based software companies or solutions companies that are, printing money. We did the SurveyMonkey transaction. They had a north of 90% operating margin. 11 people doing 30 million in top line. It was 100% viral. It's online survey, not particularly deep technology, but we did a deal for 225 million with Spectrum Equity, private equity firm down in Menlo. And it's been terrific. They, flooded the balance sheet with capital. They've grown the company to well north of 100 million, still 60% plus cash conversion on the top line. And, it's a home run for everybody. They just recapped it again at 1.4 billion. The markets right now are incredibly frothy. Tableau, Marketo, these companies are now trading at 10, 20 times revenues. I haven't seen anything like it since '98. It's a little bit frightening. But if you're close to big data, you're close to cyber, you're close to mobility in the enterprise, there is money flowing out right now to invest in these companies if you have the solid background and a good business plan. So those are the things we look for. Again, we have rich experience we've been privileged to be part of some growth stories out of Europe and Israel in particular, companies that moved over here to the States. One in particular is Business Objects, based out of Paris, moved here in the early 90s. We helped Bernard set up shop in San Jose, and we did financings for him. We did operational advisory work. Took the company public and did several other things. I covered them on the research side for many years, along with Rick Sherland. I don't know if you remember him. What he did was he started, Business Objects had a few hundred people over in Paris. He came to the States and he said, okay, we are going to make a software company with a facade of a US-based company. And it looked and smelled and felt like a US-based company. Everything he did here was with US executives. He moved here, his partner stayed in Paris doing the R&D work. They set up shop with American executives in sales and marketing partnerships and the like. And it was a home run. They grew it into a $1 billion software company and ultimately sold it for over $7 billion to SAP not too long ago. Another example is Mercury Interactive out of Tel Aviv. Mercury, Amnon Landon moved here. He's doing, maybe 10, 20 million in revs when I met him. He moved to Silicon Valley and same thing, got Ken Klein and a bunch of American executives to set up a US arm of the company. Left the R&D in Tel Aviv. Nobody seemed to care about that. But all of the sales marketing partnerships and the administrative side of the business was here in the States. And I think what was significant about that was that they were able to take their core technology and reskin it for a lot of different markets along the way. And his team was incredible. He was very rigorous about hiring good people and keeping them around. Again, grew it into about a $900 million company, sold it to HP for $4 billion. And so the ones that have been successful from overseas, huge success stories, have moved here and hired and surrounded themselves with successful talent that had the right experience, the right domain expertise, and built up the U.S. operation. Not to say that you can't facilitate an exit in the States or elsewhere around the world, but again, these are sort of hitting singles and doubles. If you want to hit a home run, I concur with what's been said here, is you have to have a U.S. operation that's scaled up, that is in the biggest market and has validation, in the biggest IT market on the planet.